You're listening to Nexxlegacy.
All right. That's my girl. All right, let's get it started. This is Charles Madison with Nexxlegacy Radio, and I have my beautiful guest. And I'm gonna tell her off top. She doesn't have just one job. She has like 500 jobs, probably 5,000. And I'm gonna be here to talk to you all about all the different things that she has going on. Because she's a songwriter. She has a clothing line. She's a speaker, author. She has music on iTunes, all kinds of social media platforms or whatnot. And we're going to talk about just the evolution of everything that she has going and more. And I want to welcome Dorian Marie to Nexxlegacy Radio. What's up, girl? What's up?
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're here. And off top, you know, I didn't have a chance to have dialogue with you, but I got a chance to listen to your music. I had a chance to see everything that you have going on. And I'm not saying this because you and I are doing an interview right now, and I'm going to feel this vibe. I got to tell you, I appreciate the grind, the effort, everything that you putting out there to be able to not just leave a legacy, but just hope that people can be inspired by some of the work that you do. So I got to tell you off top, before we even get started with Q&As, thank you for doing what you're doing, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for being receptive and seeing the value.
Absolutely, there's value. There's value. So listen, I want to get started by just basically kind of starting off with some softball questions. I want the world to get to know you, so we need an origin story. How did you get started? Let's just put music. Actually, you know what? Everything. How did you get started doing what you're doing, period?
It did start with music, of course, playing in the church, being a musician, then doing, recording music with gospel artists because I'm from Houston, and there's a lot of gospel artists that are from Houston. So that's where it started. And then I branched off into ministry. At the time, I was the first lady of a church, and so that got me into speaking and, doing conferences and being keynote speakers. And then as I continued to evolve, I started to write books and got into real estate because I do believe in multiple streams of income and using every gift, every talent that you have. And as I wrote the books, that created the clothing line, Finish It, which also has other merchandise, but it's all Finish It. It's about finishing what you start, and sometimes you can't even finish because you haven't even started. So it's about, life happening. Life happens all the time, but we still have to finish it.
Right. And good. Getting into music real quick. Was there a particular song that you heard that just triggered you as far as not just you doing it? It could have been a gospel song. It could have just been a music moment that you had with specific said artist and song that made you kind of, you know what? I got something that I want to share with the world.
It was not a specific song by someone else, but it was me writing my own songs. I have found that to be the most effective because I like to be able to sing what is my truth, which is why I write my own music. And people will pitch me songs about things that I don't believe in or that I don't want to manifest in my life, whether it was gospel or, secular love songs. I don't want to sing about breakup. I don't want to sing about cheating. Why would I want to sing about that and manifest it in my life? Yeah. And so it wasn't a particular song about somebody else, even if it was gospel, because a lot of the gospel songs are about the struggle and going through. I don't want to sing about that. So the turning point for me was because I started writing when I was 16. I started writing songs with a gospel artist from Houston. And that's where I got my start, writing my own music because it resonates with people more effectively when you're singing something that you actually lived out. And so my album, my other playlist, every single song on that album is about someone or more than one person, and every lyric has been lived out because I wrote every single word.
I think there's a fine line between authenticity and what people do and what people, what perceptions look like, I guess you could say. And it's interesting that you say that's the beginning of your journey because a lot of people just hear a song, get motivated, and be like, ooh, I could do that too. Yours is a lot more intimate.
Right.
And sharing that, not just with the public, but with yourself and what you want to do for your own individual growth and development as far as who you are. Right. It's intriguing to me. What do you say to some of the people out there who is finding whatever it is that they're doing, they're not doing. And maybe it's because they're not being their best self doing it. But what do you say to certain people out there who is trying to find a way musically?
They're trying to find their way musically?
Yeah, they're trying to find what it is that they want to do, what they want to be. They love music. They have passion for it, but they can't find the direction they want to go because they're trying to either, one, depend on somebody else or depend on a certain sound from somebody else. But what do you say to those people just trying to get a niche but just can't find their way?
Because some of them are not authentically, like you just said, being their authentic self. And my logo, Dorian Marie, if you ever see my logo, there's a little squiggly symbol, and it means authentic in another language. That is my whole brand, about being authentic. So some people are not making it because they're trying to look like another artist. They're trying to sound like another artist because they have the followers. Their music is being streamed, so that's what I must look like. That's what I must sound like. And some are afraid to be their authentic self and wear their hair the way they really want to wear it or dress how they really want to dress because people are not going to, receive that or accept it. And then people don't, because people feed off of energy. If you're real and you're authentic, they're going to be drawn to that. People can tell when you're being fake. They can tell, especially when you sing. You trying to sound like this gospel artist, or you trying to sound like this secular artist, or you sound just like. Because I'm not giving you a true example. I was raised, of course, in the black church, but we listened to a lot of white contemporary Christian music growing up. And so I would be accused by the black community, you sound like a white girl. You sing like a white girl. You play. One of them even told me, you play the piano like a white girl, because I don't do all the runs and all the squalling and all the screaming when I sing. I'm not knocking it. That's your thing. That's your thing. But I embrace that. But when I would go to churches, when I was, in that realm or wherever I would go, I was received well and I was paid well because I was being my authentic self. And then I started to translate my songs into Spanish. So I would sing in English and I'd break off into a Spanish verse and I would open up to another audience. And it was something that's authentic to me because I was inspired by Selena, She's no longer here, but I was inspired by her when I was 15. And so I would incorporate that even in praise and worship. I would change all my music to Spanish. So I believe that's why people aren't moving forward, is because they have found their niche, but they're not embracing their niche.
You triggered something in me that I've had a struggle with in terms of a lot of people. You go through life, and you probably know how it is, Dorian Marie. You will hear someone says that you don't sound black, or what does that actually mean? Because I've been in corporate world, I've been in good spots, I've been in certain places, and I don't talk black enough, or just because I don't cuss or whatever, I can articulate my conversation without it being a slang word, then they say I'm something else. And is this the way that society is shaping up to be when it comes to certain things like that? Because I've always had a problem with it, but you know what? I'm going to continue to do me, because you know why? I'm the only person I got. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. That's all. What do you think?
Right. And that's what people will say. Like, I don't know, like in your industry, who people would compare you to, or like they will say, oh, you're about to be the next Yolanda Adams, or you're going to be the next Beyonce. No, I'm not. I'm going to be Dorian Marie. That's who I'm going to be. And so I do believe the society does do that, and that's why they'll judge you when you're singing, or whenever you're doing whatever you're doing. They compare, and that is like the worst. And you'll see it on Facebook. They'll compare one artist to the next artist that's doing kind of the same thing, and it's like, why? Why can't they be in their own lane?
Yeah, it trips me out to hear it, but also to hear it with such passion, because I always feel like people survive on individuality. There's been glimpses of successful people being themselves and growing and evolving and something into something more. You know what I'm saying? You have to bog yourself down to just being this. Is now, with everything going on social media and perceptions and everything that we just mentioned, is there a way out of it where people can get back to, or I should say snap back to reality, where people can literally just appreciate the individuality growth of a certain person, or it's always going to be like this for me?
I think it will always be like that, but I also think it's going to be on the other side too. You have where people will accept authentic, presentations of their gift. But then there's always going to be that other group of people that are on the other side. It's always going to be a duality because that's just human nature.
Right. It's some
people just are not mature enough. People haven't evolved.
Right. The proverbial, it's a blessing and a curse in a lot of different ways. We see both sides of the spectrum, I guess you could say, in terms of how people are and how people we should be, I guess, or whatever. Because whatever we're talking about, I don't know about you, but I just want to see everybody happy, be at peace. And sometimes everybody can be happy to see other people's downfall, or people can see people. It's a real jaded situation in a lot of degrees, but I always look at it. Everybody don't have to believe what I say or what you say or whatever, but just find some kind of peace or happiness within yourself without having to do with nothing and nobody else.
Correct.
And I think that's when you win.
Correct. And here's one of the real reasons why I also go ahead.
No.
Why I believe in being authentic, because if I try to act and sing or write or do whatever I do, because I'm also into manifestation, if I try to do it like somebody else and then I end up saying or doing the wrong thing, I'm going to get canceled. So I might as well just do it the way that I want to do it, because then you can't cancel me. I can't, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
you can't cancel me because I am me. You know what I'm saying? So, because they'll lift you up. They'll lift you up because you are acting like everybody else. You are dressing like the latest. And as soon as you say one thing, you put your political views out, you put your religious views, you're canceled. So I might as well be myself from the get-go and not be concerned about if I go to the top or not. Am I being authentic? Am I showing up as who I am supposed to show up as? And that's all that matters.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, this cancel culture or whatever you want to call it, it literally is just, it's not even that. It's just really people's opinions. And then opinions will grow into assumptions. And to me, you and I already know what time it is when it comes to that. Right. I think, people who assume it's just weird to me. I mean, where's the sense of purpose with what it is that you want to do in order for you to just be straight up? Have that conversation. It may be uncomfortable, but have it. Because to me, if you do have it, it's gonna change how you think about certain things if you base it off of that. So back to music, when it comes to that, Dorian is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. You have music out there that's streaming on platforms. How do you feel about not your music being placed in these positions, but just being in my opinion, the effort to get it out there to a wide range of people? Because to me, I think it's a great thing that I could be able to go find you, pull up your music, listen to it in my car, and celebrate it. But also it's a struggle, because a lot of people don't realize that putting a 3-minute song doesn't take 3 minutes. It's a process. So tell people about not just your musical journey and getting it out, but also just the work that it takes in order for you to get that out to the public too.
It is work, especially when you're an independent artist, because I have chosen to not sign with anybody. Of course, there's been offers, but I want to own all of my things, and I want to remain authentic, because, you know how it is. So it is a process, but I manifested my first album. I said in 6 months, I'm going to do 6 songs. It was an EP, and I did that. And so it is work, but here's the thing. When you have decided this is what I'm going to do and this is who I'm going to be, the whole universe will come together to make it happen for you if you're being truly authentic. Then, because it wasn't a struggle in the sense of, almost impossible to get done. I just decided this is what I'm going to do. I surrounded myself with the right people, not people that are trying to, and now they tried. Like there were some times, and I'm talking about even when I tried to do gospel music. Hey, if you do this, if you know what I mean, we'll put you in front of this person. Yeah. Wow. Even in the gospel realm. Okay, cool.
Wow.
Yeah. We'll take you right on here to the top. Yeah. I mean, I went to 3 different studios, and it was the same thing. If you do, hey, I know. So, okay, well, let me go on to the pop world. Let me sing some pop music. And it was safer over there. Now, Hollywood is doing its thing. But when I was in Houston, and my producer, Jim Finley, he helped me produce my other playlist. He produced that with me. It was safe. It was clean because I manifested, hey, I'm going to be around the right people. The right people are going to be around me. That's the key thing. It's about who you are surrounding yourself with. But you have to be the person that draws that kind of energy in. You know what I mean? So if you're going to be fake and you're not going to be real, you're going to draw in fake, unreal people that's going to take advantage of you.
Yep. I mean, and to me, I think it's a crowded art form, but it's an art form that could easily showcase who you are, who you want to be, and it's full. We've already mentioned authenticity. You have a specific skill set in what you do that I'm sure, I'm not going to speak for you, that you will live for it and you will die for it. Same thing as me, what I do. I love what I do. I'm passionate about what I do. I want to pay it forward with whatever I have, and I will live for it and I will die for it. And I think a lot of people miss that boat with leaving something, because everything that you do, you and I are in a position where we can be able to have an opportunity to leave this for somebody else when we're gone 100 years from now. And to me, I think that's the deepest gift that you can be able to give to people after you're gone.
That's true. That is true. I agree. And so, it may not be like I have kids. It may not be, I specifically. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
No, I said it may not be that I specifically leave my businesses. That I specifically leave my businesses for my kids to take over, because that may not be what they want to do. But I can still leave the legacy of being authentic in whatever you choose to do, whatever your path is. I can still leave that integrity. I can still leave, the ethics of fulfilling your dreams and bringing those things to pass. You can still leave that as a legacy as well.
The work, the journey, everything else that you had to do to get to the point where you were able to release your music and get it out there to the public to consume it, always tells a story. No matter, and I have a daughter as well. If she wants to take over, great, but it's there for her to have to make the decision, and I think that's even more important as well, to give our kids and our future kids options to be able to do that. Dorian Marie is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio, and any videos, anything that people can check when it comes to anything new, or can they just go ahead and just celebrate the catalog that you have going on right now?
Well, that's coming in 2025. What I do is, of course, like you said, I have 4 different businesses, and one funds the other because I want to remain independent. And people are like, so when are you going to put some new music out? I am, but I'm not going to do it in compromise based on what's been offered to me and the contracts that have been offered to me. So if I have to wait another 6 months, if I had to wait a year, that's what I'm going to do to be able to produce my own music. So that is our plan for 2025. And what's different about this next album, it is a love album, but it's about the good side, if you want to say, because there's really not a bad side of love, but I've heard people say that. But it's about love, not about heartbreak and we broke up and he's the cheating and all of that. It's about love. You know what I mean? I'm not about to think about that. Somebody pitched me a song last year, and I listened to the lyrics. I was like, absolutely not. Because not only did I write my own songs because I believe in the power of words. That's why I started writing my own music. Yeah. And that's how I got into manifesting, and how I, now I also have created and I offer on my website manifestation cards, intention cards, affirmation cards. And so, it all just kind of ties together. So in 2025, we're going back into the studio. I already have the songs written. I have a song dedicated to my father who passed away, but it's about love. It is about when people sing it, you feel good about love, because some people have given up on love. You've seen what's out there. People are not trying to date. They're done with men, done with women. If we're not doing 50-50, all that stuff. I don't care about any of that. Okay, I don't care about any of that. Love exists if you want it, but it's your choice. So 2025, that is where we're going. And some people call it neo soul. You can identify it as neo soul, lo-fi. That will be the genre for this next album.
Can I say something about love real quick? Because you hit something that I just kind of, you're 100% right when, people have this weird vision of what love looks like. And I don't know about you. I've lived long enough, in my late 40s, now entering 50s, to realize that love to me is not only just the action word that you got to literally make a commitment to, you got to surrender to what it means, right? Like, to me, I think there's a little bit of surrendering to what that word means. Now, we also have to take accountability. There's different layers of love as well. Like, you know, we may have been in relationships here and there over the stretch of decades or whatnot, and we may have been, quote unquote, in love, but there's levels to it. And you may have loved somebody 10 years ago, and then you moved on afterwards or whatever, but then you found new love, and then there's another layer of what that is. I always feel like it's not just baked on just one specific platform of what love is. Love is levels. And if you get into a situation where you not just found, it's not really about just trying to find your true match or whoever it is that you connect with. It's just surrendering to what love is and two people sharing that surrendering of it. And then they progress. And when they progress, there's a mission that takes place where if someone's celebrating 40 years of marriage, they got it. Or they have an idea of what it takes to move forward or whatever. And a lot of people can still be in relationships without any meaning to it. But the ones who really surrender to that word and put that action behind it, that's the gift, right?
That's it. Man, that was beautiful. That's it.
I always believe in that. I always believe that. Just because I always hear people talk about it, and they give it jaded feelings, right? Where they're just, you know, I can't find nobody, or nobody can't do what I want as far as that. It's not that. You got to love yourself clearly, but you also have to understand what that means. Like, to me, it's deeper than just a word. That's what I mean. You got to act. You got to put that action. Surrender, though. You can't just surrender for a day. But you can practice surrendering. You can practice surrendering every day. You may screw up. You may have a day where you might fall flat, or you may not have 100%. But you still know and respect that value of what it means and how you want it to be with your significant other, and keep moving. Like that's to me, that's when you realize that, that's when you know it's something that you the person can practice that with the other person forever. So, you know what I mean?
I do, because you said, you know, that there's levels to it, that, you know, there's another level of love. But I believe that, you know, in addition to that, when people themselves, like you just said, as individuals, when they level up just within themselves, you have to, it's like you said, you're in a relationship, that didn't work out, I'm just going to go on to the next relationship, but you haven't leveled up within yourself to attract someone else, like you said, that is also on that same level. And that's what love is, because you said that you may have a bad day, you may mess up, but your partner also may mess up. They may have a bad day. Are we both surrendered to love? We are. So we can be in alignment and keep moving forward. We talk about it, we work through it, and we keep moving forward in a union. In a union.
Some people don't talk about Dorian Marie. I'm just saying, they don't talk about this like that.
That's true.
They don't, and why? It's there. Why are people so uncomfortable?
They're talking about right. They're talking about 50-50. Are you going to pay all the bills? Come on. They're talking about that kind of stuff. They're talking about what a woman should be doing and what a man should be doing. Nobody's talking about love and union and growing and develop. I'm not talking about struggle love. I'm talking about growing together, knowing that, you know, two people are growing, and one may be growing faster than the other. One may not be on the same, but we're both growing and moving in the same direction, and we're aligned. Like, what's wrong with that?
Can be. You can't. I mean, it's an example that you could set, and I just feel like we need more of this instead of that, because to me, the more of the narrative in terms of, you know, makes people realize that, wow, maybe people are that jaded to the point where they don't even know what it is themselves. And then when they find it, they don't know how to react or act towards it. But that's the surrender part. That's when you have to really not, and I'm talking about surrender amongst yourself, not to the other person. When you surrender to who you are and what that term is and how you want it to manifest, as you put it, then you have control over what you feel, and then let that radiate to that other person that you're connected with, and let that grow. And if you get the same like-minded vibe as that, you can't lose. You cannot lose. All it does is just show the next generation of people who, what, when, where, and how this was created and cultivated to last. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Oh, that's my word right there, cultivated. Me and my partner both, he has his own platform about cultivating,
You know
And
it.
so you said it. You said it. You said it. Because, I have these 31-day intention cards on different topics, on abundance, optimal health, entrepreneurship. The list goes on and on. My least selling one is the love vibe when it talks about relationships, because people don't want it. They're like, I'm telling you, they'll buy that abundance one, they'll buy the entrepreneurship one, they'll buy the one on eating habits. Shoot, I've sold more eating habits than love. The love one is the least sold.
That's crazy.
Because people, I'm done with that. I'm done.
That's crazy.
Okay.
That's crazy. It's out there, but you know what? The most uncomfortable conversation that you will have with yourself is admitting that you are flawed in this day and age, and that you have to have a pick-me-up in order for you to figure out what path you want to go. Some people are afraid of themselves, and this is what you get, right? And to me, it's okay to be uncomfortable. You go through life. You are an entrepreneur right now, Dorian Marie. You've probably been in so many uncomfortable situations as far as how you go through and navigate through your life and, not just business, but personally. But are you quitting? No. Are you still here fighting that good fight every day? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's not. You just, the people just have to take the first step. And I think that's to me, I think that's the biggest thing. So, Dorian Marie, please tell me about Finish It. How did you come up with that concept? Because what you told me earlier about Finish It is not just finishing what you started, but maybe just you didn't even start it. So can you finish it? Like, you may have that idea in your head, but you haven't let that manifest into something more. So how did you come up with that concept?
Around 2018, because I started doing music when I was 15. I'm 45. And so I started on that path. Then I got married. That, became a stumbling block for 7 years. So I stopped doing that to be, supportive in ministry when I was married to a pastor. Okay, then I get divorced, and then I start on it again, and then something else happens in life. And instead of pushing through to finish it, I would just stop. And so then I'm like, okay, let me get back on it again. And I had a habit and a pattern of, well, it's not working out. It's not going the way that I want it to go. So I just stopped. And people do it all the time. And they just push it under the rug, put it under the table, close the door, close the closet, lock it. And so finally, in 2018, I said, you know what? That was the message that was downloaded to me. Finish it. Stop doing this, girl. You've got to finish it. And ever since then, I have been nonstop. That is how I became a realtor. That's how I got into writing my second book, Finish It. And I talk about that in Finish It. I talk about the process of the album. I talk about the process of getting my first house and how things would try to come up against me. And I pressed through this time. And then I got the album done, and I got the second book done. Then I got my clothing line done, and I've been going nonstop, and I just keep creating more and more. And the latest are my new 31-day intention cards with the Finish It, brand as well. So that's where they came from. My own pattern, my own habit of starting, stopping, starting, stopping. I'm black. I'm a woman. I don't have enough money. I don't know the right people. I'm this. I'm that. It's like, right? I'm too short. Whatever it is. Yeah. And that's where that came from. And so now there's not a stop in me. And I extended the brand. It was like life happens, finish it anyway. And that's where that came from, my own pattern.
So you basically said it yourself that you got in your own way and you stumbled because you let it stumble for the most part, right?
Right.
Okay.
I stopped myself. It wasn't anybody stopping me. I was stopping myself.
So you kind of said it, but I want you to also tell the listeners, like, there had to have been a moment where you were like, you know what, forget this. I'm good. I need to not just keep pushing, just push to a high level. So when you reached that moment, was there a moment that you not just realized where your flaws were and that you need to like reinvent? I guess I don't even want to say reinvent, but grow upon the lessons learned, right? Was there a moment? And then if you could share that moment, because there's and Dorian Marie, there's so many people that, with the excuses, they're going to either blame somebody else, or they're
Right.
going to blame the situation
Right.
that they're in, but they're not going to blame themselves. Like, when was that
Right.
self-accountability evident for you?
It was when I noticed that the people that I was looking at that were seemingly surpassing me, people that I trained in music were, surpassing me. When I looked at them and I saw that, they were having some major issues. And it was more than one person. It was like several people that I was like, look at them. I helped them do this, and now look where they are. And look at this person. I helped them in their relationship, and now I was looking at all these people, and then I started to see, like you say, the flaws in their life, that they weren't who they portrayed to be. They weren't being authentic, because I know backstage. I know what the world sees, but I know the real deal. And it was like a light bulb came on and said, these people are not better than you, Dorian. Why are you sitting here saying, well, they're better than me? They must be making it because they can. And some of them, I'm just saying, some of them were just, doing some stuff. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm not better than them, but they're not better than me. So why am I dummying down myself? That's what it came to, is me realizing, wait a minute, we're all just human, and they're just doing what they're doing and making it happen for themselves. And I need to stop making excuses and comparing myself. And that's when I got into my own lane. That's why my brand also is I Am Dorian Marie, because people would say, you First Lady, you a psalmist, you a prophetic psalmist, you are this and you're that. No, I am Dorian Marie. That's who I am. And I'm going to walk in that lane. And once I embraced who she was and who she is, that's when things changed for me.
It takes a lot of courage, too, though, in order for you to be able to not just snap out of it, but just kind of, snap back from where you want to be to where you want to go, because I know it's a difficult journey in itself, not just for others, but, for your own. And it to me, you got to start there. And then once you do, then you can be able to kind of push on and just let everything else once you figured that out and once you kind of open that door again, did everything flow your way, or was there still like specific obstacles that you had to deal with amongst the growth that you were going through at that point in time?
Me walking in my lane, that was smoother than it's ever been, but there was resistance from people who wanted me to stay who I was.
Right.
That's where the resistance was coming from. No, what about you used to be a praise and worship leader. Why are you singing that kind of music? And I'm not singing, deadly type music. I'm just singing music that has to do with people's lives, just living life. And that was the main thing. I had a big fight, a resistance from the church or church religious people, because my album is called My Other Playlist. And the point of that album was how a lot of Christians will only listen to Christian and gospel music, and they feel like they can't listen to anything else. But that's why a lot of the marriages are like they are in the church, because I used to be in one of those marriages. All we listen to is Take Me to the King by Tamela Mann and John P. Key. Where's Luther? That's why, where's that in the bedroom? I mean, why we can't have Fred Hammond in here all the time, and so that's why I came up with My Other Playlist. Like, come on. This why we getting divorced right now. Because ain't nothing going on in here. Yeah. We on our knees for God, but we ain't on our knees for nothing else, if you know what I mean. That's the only time we're going to get on our knees.
Hey, that's fair, though. That's fair. I feel you, because you got, come on, Dorian Marie. You gotta have some other flavor than the same flavor. You can't.
Balance.
Come on. You gotta have balance.
Right.
You do. You
gotta have balance.
It's that simple, but it's so hard for a lot of people to come out of their shell, to be different, do different.
Right.
Look, as we can still be in the church, but still behind closed doors, do what we do and enjoy each other while doing
exactly.
it. That is it's supposed to be.
And so
it's
right, because this would happen. After, I went on a 3-year sabbatical off of Facebook, and when I came back on Facebook, when I was on there at first, I was a first lady, all that kind of stuff, praise and worship leader. 3 years, I grew, I evolved, I changed, I let go of some things. I came back. I didn't announce myself. I just came back on, and I did, and it's still out there. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. I did a cover of Best Part by Daniel Caesar and Her. And I had on a wife beater, And I mean, I was dressed appropriately. I just had on a white beater, and I just did the cover of it. Oh my God! Oh, the backlash.
I believe it.
Oh, you're forgetting about the glory of God on your life. I said, what? So I can't sing to my partner and tell him that he's the best part. I can't. I mean, my God, it was bad, like on their part, but I still kept pushing, and I still kept putting out more. I put out an Anita Baker song, so I just kept going. And so the thing is, that was my turning point, was when you talk about that, but the resistance came from them. But me walking in my own lane, it was just doors opening, things falling into place, because I stopped looking at people. And people say, what's your favorite song? Who's your favorite artist right now? I can't tell you, because I had to do that. I had to stop looking at people, stop listening to people, because I didn't want to go in the studio sounding like somebody. So I don't really look at a lot of, different artists and things. I stay focused on my own music. I don't watch a lot of manifestation coaches because I don't want to sound like them. And that has been working for me, just being a narrow-minded in the sense, like, I still appreciate everybody's work, but I don't study it and look at it, because in the church, that's how you're taught. Watch Bishop Jakes and how he does what he do. Watch Joyce Meyer. Those are the people that I grew up with, right? And so look how they do it. And then Juanita Bynum, when she was popping, I started wearing black long dresses to my feet like her, start slicking my hair back because I thought that's what it's supposed to be like, you know. And I'm sitting here, I'm like 22 years old, wearing these long black coats down to my knees and, dresses down to my ankle, thinking that's, how it's supposed to be. So I just started looking at people, and I started looking and finding out who I am, and I'm going to walk this girl out, and it's going to be beautiful, and it has been.
I love it. And I love how Dorian Marie is my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. I love how you unlocked yourself, because to me, by doing that, you are getting put myself out there on Front Street. I got a chance to, find you, look for you, listen to what you have going on, be inspired by it. And I'm keeping it true when I say that, because inspired by somebody who is juggling so many different things in the air and still catching every single one of them with the authenticity, the passion, the commitment to want to do more, be more, is inspiring. So, that's why I had to reach out and say, hey, let's do this. Let's do this. Just because paying it forward means a lot to not just the industry for me, but also finding like other like-minded people who have the same grind time as I do, who literally is trying to leave a legacy like I am, trying to make sure that what's left is well kept. And, there's a classic story behind it too. I think that's always important. So, once again, tell the people where they could find you, because I know you have like, in addition to 5,000 jobs, you have probably a handful of social media spots you do have. So share that with the listeners as well. How can they find you?
My website, that's where everything is housed. IamDorian.com, IamDorian.com. But all social media platforms are You Living Intuitively. That's my platform where we get in there and we talk about the things. And then I have my manifestation channel, Intuitive Intentions, teaching people how to live with and create intentions for their life. And then, of course, my music is I Am Dorian Marie Music, and I Am Dorian Realtor. Everything is I Am Dorian.
Got you. Websites are still key, people, not just the social media platforms. You are dealing with a website that the artist or whoever has full control over. So if you want to subscribe to her website, you could do that, not now, but right now, or when you run this back, or whatever the case may be. Just saying it's important. It's important to share that growth and things like that. So a couple more questions with Dorian Marie, my guest on Nexxlegacy Radio. And I'm going to throw this out there. You could, whatever you choose, I feel like I'm not going to judge you per se by the answer that I get. But it's a music question, and I'm going to ask you, it's an all-important question. What, young lady, is your favorite decade of music?
What is my favorite decade? What genre, though?
Doesn't matter. This decade, you can bundle up everything. You can bundle up everything. Decade of music.
I can bundle up everything.
Yep.
95, 96, 97.
So we're going to the
90s?
90s music.
Yeah.
Okay, why?
Yeah. That's because that's when I embraced music and I started doing music, like, for real, when I was 15. So 95, I was 15 years old, so that's why, yeah.
Got you. Okay. That's fair. All right.
Yeah.
You can't. I told you it's a question you can't really lose or whatever. Like I have a different thing. I love the 80s. I love the 80s for this reason.
Really?
And Dorian, you know this. You know that once I say this, you're gonna be like, I got you.
Okay. Here we go.
Remember those movies we used to watch back in the 80s? Roll it back.
I don't know, because we wasn't allowed to watch
music.
We wasn't.
Doesn't matter. You pick whatever movie from the 80s. It could have been a kid's movie. It could have been
what? From the 80s?
From the 80s. You pick a movie. All those movies have music soundtracks to them, right? You can't go one without the other. If you heard the music, you remember the movie. If you remember the movie, you remember the music. I think that decade was a decade of, hip hop was at its apex as well. I think there was a lot. Hip hop was just maturing, and I think every genre was winning in a sense too. You mentioned gospel. Gospel to me was at one of its heights as well back during that days. But I picked out soundtracks because music is supposed to mold and shape memories, right? And sometimes, I think that was the best decade where you actually intertwined the movies and the music, and it was just a relentless soundtrack to a lot of different things. If you watch Beverly Hills Cop, you just remember the music, right? Music was dope. You go back, kids, look at the Goonies or whatever it is, Cyndi Lauper, you remember those songs that attach to those movies or whatever. And then I'm a hip hop guy, so Crush Groove, need I say more? Just saying. It was at its height back in the day. So, I threw that out there. So yeah.
Right.
I was on it.
Well, I do like rap. Now, we wasn't allowed to listen to that. I even produced a rap song. It's out there, but I ain't going to tell anybody where it's at. But, but I did.
Oh, you can tell me.
But it's out there. I think it is. You know what? I think I did. It's on my Dorian Music YouTube. I put it out as a throwback.
And I'm going to look for it now. I'm going to look for it now.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for it. now. I need to hear it.
I just did it. I just posted it like maybe a month or two ago, so it's fresh. It's you won't have to look too hard. But I was going through some stuff, and I'm like, oh, look at this. Let me put that out there. It's called Blazing. That's when I was doing gospel rap. Yeah,
I love it.
That's when I was doing gospel rap. So
I love
it. I do like some hardcore rap, even though we weren't supposed to be listening to it. But
yeah. But even then, before, the cuss words became a thing, in the late 80s or whatever, like, you still had your Will Smiths and, Fresh Prince, I should say. You still had, this was before it got really rowdy, right? Yeah. But, you had your Run DMCs, your classic LL Cool J, stuff like that. So it was the Houdinis or whatnot. It was, it was a good time to, be who you are and do what you do back in the day. But final question. I know you mentioned you came from that gospel cloth, so you've been around it, you've heard the music, et cetera, et cetera. You've seen the evolution of it, right? We see a lot of Christian rap now. You kind of mentioned it, right? You kind of, from the stages of, how Kirk Franklin kind of does what he does, and it's not as traditional, I guess you could say, as it once was. No. What are your thoughts on that?
No.
What are your thoughts?
My thoughts on how it has evolved?
Mm-hmm.
I believe that it has evolved in a way where, actually people don't take it as serious as much. There used to be a fear of God, fear of the church, and people wouldn't do a lot of things that they're doing now when it comes to gospel music. And you mentioned Kirk. He's been doing his tour lately, and there's been a lot of, clips of him and of how he's presenting himself. And people are just like, oh, my gosh, he's mocking the church. He's, the things that they say. And so I think it has evolved. Ooh, this is what I think. I think that gospel music has evolved based on how people are evolving when it comes to God and church, period. Like, people don't, like, people are deconstructing. I'm seeing a whole community of people deconstructing their faith. They're not taking church as serious as they used to. That fear of them having to be there and have that reverence and all that, that's not there anymore. And so then you see it in the music. And so then the music becomes watered down, and the music is just what it is, what we see today. Because back in the day, it used to be a little different because people looked at church and pastors and religion different. Now they're seeing all these pastors falling, and they're seeing all of them, coming out and being arrested because they're doing all these things. Right. And so then it's like watered down. It's not the same as it used to be because of how people are evolving when it comes to their faith, period.
It was once buttoned up, as you mentioned. It has now gotten, should we say, a little looser than it's ever been in terms of that. So then people's, belief has become that as well. Like, I don't care really what side of the, religion spectrum that people are on, but it's different. It feels different. I remember as a kid having to go to churches or whatnot. It's different then than it is now. And I don't know how to put my finger on it because I don't want to say the wrong thing because I'm just assuming. I hear you. But also I'm thinking that it's commercial now. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a sacred gift that's given. Right. And then you can take it home and share it either in the household and you can also share it with yourself by yourself, right? Like I don't get where it's going. I guess I should say. I guess that would probably be the only thing I would put it out there.
I'll tell you, and I don't mind saying the wrong thing because I've been, in the industry and I've sung it and all that kind of stuff, and I've written the songs. No doubt. In the top, some of your top number one gospel artists, I've written with them, sung with them. What it is it's just like in the world, like the worldly music, sex sells. In the gospel realm, when you write according to people's struggle, that sells. When you tap into the struggle of the church people and the church folks, that sells. That's why the songs that are about struggle and going through and God's gonna bring you through and just trust Him, that resonates with people the most, and that's what sells the most. And then it just kind of waters us down. And I've done videos about that as well, about how gospel artists are writing these songs, and it just perpetuates poverty, brokenness, especially among the Black community, because you sing it, those are words, it's like a spell, and you continue to put that out. That He's going to bring you through, that means you're always going through something. And so it's a weakness to it. And so back in the day, they would write songs more about, even in the white contemporary Christian, they would write more songs about God's attributes, how great, how amazing, how this, how that. But now it's just about getting through. You're going to get through and trying to bring you through and trying to go through something all the time. And then somebody sent me a song just recently, and they said, you would sound so good singing this song. And I listened to it, and one of the first lyrics I heard was, the devil got his hands on my money. Stop. No. I'm not going to sing that. I'm serious. And she's a top gospel artist. She is a top gospel artist. I'm not saying any names. And anybody Google it, they'll know what song it is. And she was singing, the devil has his hand on my. I'm like, why? How? And I'm supposed to sing that? No. How did he do that? So that's what I'm saying is they're going to write and sell what sells, and that's the struggle of Black people in the church.
Yeah, just like a lot of things that we are looking at right now in this day and age, and even going into this new year, a lot of it is very commercialized, very hyper sensitive. It's just bizarre with no direction, right? Like it's just a weird time to be. But I appreciate Dorian Marie for giving us the real. You know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate that kind of energy that you get out there, because to me, not going back to what we talked about to start this interview, authentic, very, very inspirational, and just yours. At the end of the day, it's yours that no one can take away from. And I think that's the best thing that anybody can basically take out of the craft or the art form that you are carving for the people, right?
Yes, that's right.
All right. That's right. As we wrap this up, I want to not just thank you for taking the time to hang out with me and the listeners that will be listening and everyone else on Nexxlegacy Radio. But once again, just thank you for continuing to just, inspire people, because you've before you even connected, like I had a chance to really absorb everything, and I've had a chance to really appreciate what you were doing before you and I really set this whole thing up. And I can't not only thank you enough, but
right.
You and I will work together. I might add another job to your 5,000 jobs that you already have. So I'm just throwing that out there too, because
I'm ready.
You know, you're
I'm
needed.
ready.
You're needed in radio, though. Just saying.
Yes.
Just saying.
Yes. Hey,
well,
that's been something that's been on my mind. Trust me.
Come on. Hey, God's plan. Let's bring it. Continue to do your homework on my platform. Continue to see where the fit is when it comes to, how we work, and then we're going to connect, because I promise you this. I've been doing this thing 7 years. I've been investing in myself for the last, 3 to 4 years, and I promise you this will be around forever, even after I'm gone. And that's the mission. Yes. Because to me, I believe in paying it forward, not just to artists, but also businesses as well, and anybody that's inspired to do things that will be legacy laced, right? So, come on, Dorian Marie, let's go. Let's do it.
Yes, let's go. I love it. I'm open to that. Yes, I've done my own podcast. I love it. My podcast is on You Living Intuitively TV, so I'm ready.
Amen to that. Hey, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for being yourself, and looking forward to everything that you have going, moving it forward, too. So I appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for listening to the #1 radio station for the people.